Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Craig. I'm a recovery coach here at Capital Recovery Center.
Good morning. My name is Karen, also Capital Recovery Coach.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Michael, one of the Capital Recovery Center coaches. Welcome, everyone, as I share this live.
I just want to remind that we have Recovery on Wheels out this Wednesday at the Community Hub at Downtown Delhi in Vineland from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Any other announcements? What you got for us, Mr. Craig?
I just want to personally thank everyone for coming out. This past Saturday, we had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Me and Mike, we was there at our
Karaoke
resource event, fun day. The overview
Apartments in Millville.
Yep.
Stay tuned. We will have other different events we will be doing. We will be announcing in coming weeks about all the events we got coming up. So stay tuned.
Absolutely.
We'll be going back doing some motivational Monday videos for you guys too.
Wow.
And before the year is out, or maybe the first week of the new year, we'll do the PowerPoint. We'll walk through all of the services that we offer here. And we do like a PowerPoint presentation, and that way y'all can see that we offer more than just going away to treatment and things like that.
Now, do we have someone on the spotlight this month?
It's a Spotlight Recovery. If you go to Capital Recovery Center Facebook page, you will see the Spotlight Recovery individual for the month. Every first Friday of the month, we spotlight an individual who has been successful with their recovery walk. If you would like to be a person that's featured, just go to that page, see the link, click the link, fill out all the information that we need, and we'll be able to spotlight you as you are being successful with your recovery walk, because that's what we do. The purpose of Spotlight Recovery is to try to use your life for people who possibly know you and inspire them to start the process of recovery, because we understand that everybody won't be reached by certain people, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or nothing. But some individuals will only change or start the process of change when they see someone they know that actually went through that process. So with that being said, what we got today? Today, we're going over healthy coping skills in recovery. It came from the HarmonyRidgeRecovery.com website. You can go to the description in this particular live video, and you can download this particular lesson for your own self, or to do in a group setting, or do on live like we're doing right now. These are just healthy coping skills in recovery, because a lot of individuals have coping skills, but they just don't know when to utilize the coping skills that they already have. So let's see what we got.
And also, if you're going out on YouTube, I want you to hit the like button, subscribe, and tell somebody, share it. Coffee Conversation is back on Tuesday,
10 a.m.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's go. Who want to start us off?
I'll give it a try.
No, let's go.
Once you have finished addiction treatment and you're sober, you might think you're in the clear. However, the work of recovery has only just begun. As your counselor and treatment center staff have told you, there is a chance of relapse, which is the return to drug and alcohol use. Fortunately, using healthy coping skills can help you on your journey to recovery. We'll discover triggers and how you can handle them using said healthy coping skills.
Nice.
So that's very important. A lot of people just don't realize that a lot of times people oftentimes relapse because they don't know how to cope with a given situation. So today we're going to touch on some of these coping skills and some of these triggers. All right. What are relapse triggers? Relapse triggers are people, places, and things and feelings that remind you of your previous substance abuse. These can bring about urges and cravings that can result in relapse. People who have used drugs for a long time associate substance use with feeling good. Even after they get sober, these associations will still be there. And when you encounter triggers, oh boy, I'm stoned. You are bound to crave drugs and alcohol. Whether you are absent from substance for 2 months or 2 years, you must be aware of triggers that set off your cravings.
Very important. What's up, Mr. Kevin, man? Thank you. The relapse triggers are people, places, and things and feelings that remind you of previous substance abuse. Let me tell you something. It says and feelings. Basically, let me tell you. One day I had I can't remember why I took the particular medication. I can't remember the issue behind why I took the medication. All I know is when I took that particular medication, it gave me the same feeling when I used to do heroin. And I immediately got on the phone and called my wife, said, "Where you at?" Like, I'm gonna need some help. 911, 911, 911. So that was something that almost triggered and would actually, let me go back. When I felt that feeling from that medication, I said the words, "Now I need something to pick me up." And that type of language was the language and the feeling that I associate when I was actively using. So that thing almost triggered me into going back to the substance that I used to do. But the thing that I had already had in my arsenal, a coping skill that I had developed, was when you have those feelings, you have to tell on it. And that means telling somebody, calling somebody. The quicker you tell on the situation or the feeling or the thing that's triggering you, you take the power from that and you put the power back in your possession. Mm-hmm. So when you're faced with any type of trigger, you have to actually tell somebody that you are experiencing these particular triggers before you go back and relapse. And remember, when you do that, you take the power from that trigger and put it back in your possession.
And also, when you learn some good coping skills, you will use some alternate methods that will help you as well. Because a lot of times we want to be feeling sad. So you also, we want to feel good. Yeah. But there is other alternative methods. Just like, you might have a long day of work, you might treat yourself to ice cream. Yeah. Or you might want to go for a bike ride. There's plenty of coping skills that you can turn to, or confide in someone that who will push you along the way and say, "Hey, man, listen, we're gonna do something positive today."
Alternative methods. Hashtag.
Put that in the
comment section. Alternative methods to cope with the feeling that you are experiencing. Mm-hmm. All right, let's look at external triggers. So we're talking about relapse triggers. The first set we're going to talk about are external triggers. External triggers are physical things that remind you of your past drug use. Some examples of external triggers include people, those closest to you, friends, family, co-workers, former drug dealers can trigger that cause you to relapse. You shouldn't be around loved ones who have substance use disorder. If it's going to trigger you to go back to what you used to do, that's one event you might have to skip. It just remember, you're the most important person in this equation. So if it's going to trigger you, don't try to say I'm going over my family house, but every time you go over your family house, you remember when you used to do something. You have to stop, leave that area. Places. Walking or driving by a location where you used to drink or use drugs can set off cravings. This is very true. I used to see houses that I used to get high in, and instantly my stomach flipped. Wow. Like, man, I used to go in that house and do this and do that. And I got to get out the area. These can include bars, restaurants, neighborhoods, bathrooms, and hotels. To try to avoid these places by using, come on, man. route to get to your destination. I used to have to go a different route to get to certain places because I didn't want to see this particular area that used to trigger me to use. And another one is objects. Even material things can spark cravings. Drug paraphernalia, spoons, heroin users, movies, empty pill bottles. All of these things can influence recovering a person struggling with a substance use disorder. Movies is another one. In my house, we have when we watching something and it's dealing with a lot of substance or things that might remind me of my past. My wife has been consistent when she pauses and she checks, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Why you keep doing that?" She's like, "Because this movie is not that important for it to trigger you to want to go do it." So she'll pause and say, "You good?" And I say either, "Yeah, I'm good," or "Nah, it starts another day." But no matter what, movies can trigger you to go do something. So you got to be mindful of that. These are all external triggers. And the last external triggers is activities and situations. Stressful situations can push those in recovery over the edge. That's why they say don't get into relationships, because I told you relationships always go up, they go down, they're very emotional. So that's why they want you to get your foundation set before you get into relationships. Even though people think you just don't want me to have a girlfriend. What? I got a wife. Why I want you to have a girlfriend? But some people don't understand that emotional relationships cause people to go back. These don't just include losing a job or a loved one. Joyous occasions like weddings, birthdays, and other parties where alcohol is flowing can also induce cravings. Other situations, triggers include calling from creditors, payday. You know, I told y'all about money last time. Before and during and after sex, being home alone, eating lunch or dinner, or talking on the phone. All of these activities or situations could be an external trigger. All right, who got internal?
I'll read it. Internal triggers are emotions, feelings, and thoughts that you associate with drug use. These are harder to manage than external triggers because you can't always avoid them. Internal triggers can lead to negative behavior that eventually leads to relapse. Examples of external triggers include negative feelings. If you ever feel irritated, angry, jealous, or anxious, you may think about turning to drugs and alcohol for comfort. Normal feelings. You might not think it, but even normal feelings can be triggers. Relaxation, boredom, and embarrassment and neglect can make you think about using. Positive feelings. Feeling excited, happy, confident, and strong can also lead to relapse. Celebrating something could make you want to reach for a bottle and join in on the fun. To recognize which feelings could potentially set off a relapse, ask yourself the following questions. How do I feel before using substances? How do I want to feel before using drugs and alcohol? In the last week, how did I feel when I used or wanted to use drugs and alcohol?
Good question.
There's some good things that one can self-talk that one can ask themselves, and when they are going through any situation, because a lot of times most of the time, our thought process is how we perceive things determine how we're going to respond to them. So I constantly, I'm constantly reminding myself, how should I evaluate a given situation and look for the best results. And even if I don't give it my best results that I would like, I still improve upon them. And when it comes to recovery, I'm always mindful that there are always cravings going to appear, there are always urges, and there are going to always be triggers. And so I'm constantly on the alert within myself. So that's all right to have good self-talk, because
Everybody needs that.
Yeah,
you gotta have that's why I love CBT so much, cognitive behavioral therapy, because it deals with thinking, changing your thought pattern. Now, it's very powerful because I learned from my mentors and spiritual advisors that in the midst of a negative situation, you can still speak positive to yourself. And I'm like, man, that's like it's basically saying, yo, that's not right. Well, we know it's not right what's happening, but if you focus on what's wrong with the situation, it's not going to actually do you any better. So you might as well use positive affirmation about the situation and say, you know, well, maybe after I get through this process, I'll get a job. Instead of saying nobody won't hire me. Well, at this particular time, you filled out 5 applications, and the evidence is nobody won't hire you, or those 5 people didn't hire you. But that doesn't necessarily mean the 6th person won't hire you. But if you focus on all the ones that didn't hire you, I can see you being triggered to want to use and get depressed or get worried. But that's why you got to give yourself positive affirmation and go against those internal triggers in your head. Like, yo, nah, you might as well go use. See, you nobody won't hire you. You might as well go back to using. Well, they definitely ain't gonna hire you if we use. So
That's right. And so you better off sticking with the skills that you have, and I hope this information is helping you along the way. Let's talk about some unhealthy coping skills in recovery.
all right, let's see what we got.
Bottling up your feelings.
Mm.
Some people tend to bottle up their emotions because they're afraid to show vulnerability. Men often do that. You know, we have this macho perspective.
Can't let you know.
You know, even when we was younger. Stop crying, boy. And acting like,
Men don't cry.
men don't boys and cry.
The
Men-
worst thing you ever told a man.
Right. So as you develop, you'll learn it's all right to be vulnerable because that's where your strength comes from. However, doing this can cause you to act out in other ways, including using drugs or drinking to cope with your feelings. By taking the following steps, you can learn how to better manage your emotions. Number 1, communicate your feelings constantly.
Okay.
Be open, don't follow everything out. Some people say, oh, I love being an introvert. Well, it's all right if you want to learn stuff, but you also got to share it. And, in order for us to keep our sobriety, we oftentimes say we must do what?
Give it away.
Share it.
Let it go.
Communicate
Tell
your
us
feelings
about it.
constantly. Figure out why you keep your feelings inside. Accepting on your feelings. Write in a journal. If you're a good writer, if you like to write books like Mike, if you need some pointers, hey, you got the right guy right here. Michael Williams, he's 10-time published author. I'm gonna give him a plug.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's gonna give, it'll cost you later on, But anyway, talk when you need to. Release your bottled feelings. Release those things. Don't, because it's often said a lot of time when people hold on to a lot of stuff built up, eventually you're gonna let it out, and you might let it out in the wrong way or at the wrong time, and it can be devastating to your progress.
Consistency, communicating your feelings consistently. You have to develop that type of like he was saying. Like a lot of people don't say, "Well, I don't got nobody to talk to." You have to learn how to communicate your feelings consistently, and you find someone that you trust. Initially, start with them. You know what I mean. And I was just sharing not too long ago. I can't even remember where I was, and I was saying, it was Monday. And I was saying that my wife always tell me, I'd rather you tell me than somebody else come around and tell me. She said, you might as well communicate with me, because even though no matter how the situation might be or it might not look good, if you tell me and before somebody else tell me, you basically communicating. You being consistent about what we're doing. So sometimes when you're going through something and you feel like you're about to be triggered, instead of not saying something and going out and using, then it's like, okay, yeah, you can recover from it, but you could have possibly prevented it if you were consistently communicating your feelings to someone. So you got to find somebody to do that, and talk when you need to. You know what I mean? Remember, before a person actually relapses, it's a thought going on in their head. I don't know what that thought is, but that's the time that you need to talk. That's the time that you can't stay in your head. You need to start talking. All right. What else we got?
Are you going to the 10 healthy coping skills?
We did hanging out with our friends.
No.
If you know what I mean? If you're feeling lonely, you might feel tempted to fall back into old habits. This can include getting together with friends, family members, or co-workers who abuse substances. When you're early in your recovery, you must avoid these loved ones. I think Mr. Kevin put it in the comment section, something in there about that, where it says you must avoid these loved ones. Let me see, right there.
Hey, Kev.
What that say?
I know Kev was on
I
the same.
tell people's friends and family members, if you are drinking or smoking or doing drugs, you cannot come to my house.
See, I just said it. I just read it. It says, when you're early in your recovery, you must avoid these loved ones. Yes, if they're friends and families and they coming over your house and they still doing that, and you're trying to stay on this path, you have to be the one that just gonna be like, man, he don't want me to come over. I'm like that in my house too. I have a lot of family members that drink and do everything, but they know when we having events at our house, they like, yo, we got to do all this before we get to my house. We got to do everything in our car. As soon as we get to his house, he like, nah, I don't even stand outside smoking at my house. Like, I don't need none of it to trigger me. Remember, we are the most important individual in this equation. Find friends who will support you in your transition to sobriety. Find friends who will support you in your transition to sobriety. If you're invited to an event with some old friends, explain your situation to them. This is the, remember up here, it says talk when you need to. That's one of the times that you need to talk. Explain your situation to them. Real friends will understand that you need time away, and this honesty will strengthen your relationships. Real friends will understand that you need time away. That brought back to my memory. One time, my wife and I went. I'm born and raised in Atlantic City, and we went to Atlantic City to go see somebody. And I happened to see one of my friends in this particular building that I used to get drugs from. I got out the car to walk in the building because I was excited to see my friend. I haven't seen him in a long time. And I was coming in the building. He was upstairs on the 3rd floor. Now, my wife said, that's a real friend. He yelled out the window. He said, Mike, don't come in this building. I'll come to you. And my wife said, that's a friend. Because he know I possibly would have got triggered by a smell or something. He says, don't come in this building. I'll come out and I'll come to your car. And that's what it says. Real friends will understand that you need time away. And that's when I was early in my recovery process. So you got to do the same thing. If these friends don't understand and even tempt you to drink or use drugs, you need to set some boundaries, a key word. Try going to a coffee shop, juice bar instead of a bar or other establishments that serve alcohol. I've been hanging out at Starbucks lately.
Yeah, you know what? I see that a lot. These juice bars popping up. Have y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah. How is it? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, all right, man.
What do you mean? I mean, they all right or they?
It's good to hang in. I mean,
just to chill out, drink something healthy.
Yeah,
alternative drink.
Yeah, they got a lot of them out now.
Okay. And so, hey, Ken, I just want to give you a shout out, man.
Yes, sir, Ken.
You are one of our
biggest supporters here.
Biggest supporter, and hey, man, you know, whatever you're doing, man, keep up the good work.
Yeah, he always got great information here. Yes, and I'm glad because when we take all these videos and they go to YouTube, other people get to share into the experiences that we're doing, and it's a great help. So we're gonna review this first part, and the next part we're gonna finish up next Tuesday, which is the 10 healthy coping skills to practice in recovery. Practice? You're talking about practice. Yes, man, practice.
We in the playoff. But anyway,
let's do some review.
Okay, perfect.
So we went over healthy coping skills in recovery. The first one we talked about was what are relapse triggers? And we discussed external, excuse me, and internal triggers. Go ahead.
Examples of internal triggers, including, we went over that. We went over unhealthy coping skills in recovery. bottling up your feelings, hanging out with friends who use. And so that was the first segment or first part, right? Of these 9 healthy coping skills and recovery.
And we'll pick up
Number 10,
Tuesday.
Tuesday, 10 healthy coping skills to practice and recover. And so the first part was in theory. Now let's talk about putting it into action.
All right.
All right? And so, hey, Kev, I'll see you next time, man.
Blessings, man. We
Blessings.
get with you guys next week.